Hello, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. This is a place for those who love spine-chilling stories, eerie locations, and the thrill of the unknown. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal enthusiast or just someone curious about what lies beyond the veil, I've got something special in store for you today. We're diving deep into the heart of one of America's most overlooked yet deeply haunted states, Arkansas. While many people associate Arkansas with its rolling Ozark Mountains, dense forests, and rustic charm, few realize that beneath its quiet surface lurks a history steeped in tragedy, mystery, and unexplained phenomena. From ghostly apparitions wandering through abandoned asylums to spectral figures seen drifting through historic homes, Arkansas is home to some of the most terrifying places in the country. These are not just urban legends or exaggerated campfire tales. These are real locations where visitors have reported inexplicable encounters, chilling sensations, and even brushes with the supernatural. Today, we begin our exploration of the most haunted places in Arkansas, uncovering the dark histories behind these infamous sites and hearing first-hand accounts from those who have dared to enter. Some of these locations have drawn the attention of paranormal investigators, while others remain shrouded in local folklore passed down through generations. Whether you believe in ghosts or simply enjoy a good scare, there's no denying that Arkansas holds secrets that refuse to be forgotten. So, if you're ready to face the unknown, grab your flashlight, settle in, and let's begin our journey into the depths of Arkansas's most horrifying locations. The origins of fear, tragedy, mystery, and the supernatural haunted locations across the United States often share common threads: tragic events, historical trauma, and inexplicable occurrences that defy logical explanation. Arkansas, with its rich frontier past and countless forgotten towns, is particularly fertile ground for such legends. Many of the state's most notorious hauntings stem from incidents of violence, betrayal, and sudden death, all of which contribute to the lingering sense of unease that pervades these places. Whether these disturbances are the result of residual energy imprinted onto the land or something more sinister remains a subject of debate, but one thing is certain: those who visit often leave changed, carrying the weight of their experiences long after they've stepped away from the site. One of the primary reasons Arkansas is home to so many haunted locations is its history of hardship and loss. During the 19th century, waves of settlers, miners, and pioneers flooded into the region, only to find themselves facing brutal winters, disease, and violent conflicts. Entire towns were built overnight, thriving for a few years before being abandoned when economic collapse or bloodshed rendered them uninhabitable. These ghost towns, now eerily silent and frozen in time, are said to harbor the spirits of those who once lived and died within their borders. Locals speak of strange occurrences: whispers carried on the wind, shadowy figures watching from empty windows, and the distant sound of horses galloping through deserted streets despite knowing no living creatures should be present. Beyond the remnants of failed settlements, Arkansas's haunted legacy extends to its historic buildings and landmarks. Many of the state's oldest hotels, hospitals, and theaters have become hotspots for paranormal activity, with staff and visitors alike reporting encounters that range from unsettling to downright terrifying. Cold spots appear without warning, disembodied voices call out from empty hallways, and some claim to have seen full-bodied apparitions staring back at them from the corners of their vision. Whether these experiences stem from psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or something truly supernatural, the sheer volume of consistent reports makes it difficult to dismiss the idea that something lingers within these walls. As we explore Arkansas's most haunted places, we'll uncover the tragic events that led to these enduring legends, hear from those who have faced the unknown firsthand, and examine the investigations that have attempted to shed light on the mysteries that persist. Whether you believe in the supernatural or simply enjoy a good scare, one thing is undeniable: Arkansas's past refuses to be forgotten, and the echoes of history continue to haunt those who dare to listen. Echoes of the past, the phantom residents of the old Alcorn State Hospital situated in Norman, Mississippi. The old Alcorn State Hospital stands as a grim reminder of a dark chapter in psychiatric history. Originally established in the early 20th century as the Mississippi Negro Hospital, It was one of the few mental health institutions dedicated to treating African American patients during the Jim Crow era. Over the decades, the hospital became notorious for its overcrowded wards, inadequate medical care, and widespread mistreatment of patients. Many who entered its doors never left, and today, the abandoned complex is said to be haunted by the restless spirits of those who suffered within its walls. The hospital's history is marred by troubling conditions that contributed to its eerie reputation. Reports from former employees and patients describe instances of neglect, forced sterilizations, and secret experiments conducted on unwilling subjects. Some claim that electroshock therapy was administered without anesthesia, while others allege that patients were locked away indefinitely with little hope of release. These harrowing accounts have led many to believe that the suffering endured within the hospital left an indelible mark on the land, trapping the souls of the departed in a cycle of anguish. Today, the abandoned campus remains largely untouched, its decaying buildings standing as silent witnesses to the horrors of the past. Urban explorers and paranormal investigators who have ventured into the ruins describe an overwhelming sense of dread upon entry, as if the very air is thick with sorrow and despair. Strange noises echo through the empty halls, distant screams, muffled sobbing, and the sound of footsteps trailing behind those who dare to explore. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures moving through the broken windows, while others report feeling an icy presence brush past them in the darkness. One of the most unsettling accounts involves the basement of the main building, where rumors persist of secret underground tunnels used for unspeakable procedures. Whether these disturbances are the result of residual energy imprinted onto the environment, or something far more sinister remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that the old Alcorn State Hospital continues to draw those fascinated by its haunted history, offering a glimpse into a world where pain and suffering refuse to be forgotten. The ghostly echoes of the Margaret Reed Crosby House, tucked away in the heart of Natchez, Mississippi, nestled among the grand antebellum mansions that line the city's historic district, stands the Margaret Reed Crosby House, a stately Victorian home that has become the subject of numerous ghostly tales. Built in the late 19th century, the house was once the residence of Margaret Reed Crosby, a prominent socialite known for her lavish parties and refined taste. However, beneath its elegant facade lies a history steeped in tragedy and mystery, giving rise to one of the most enduring paranormal legends in the region. Margaret Reed Crosby was a woman of considerable wealth and influence, but her life was marked by personal turmoil. After the death of her husband, she reportedly became increasingly reclusive, retreating into the solitude of her grand home. Local lore suggests that Margaret was plagued by depression and paranoia, convinced that unseen forces were conspiring against her. Some accounts claim she began speaking to the portraits on her walls, believing them to be the spirits of her ancestors watching over her. Others tell of her nightly ritual of pacing the upstairs hallway, muttering to herself in a language no one could understand. Tragedy struck when Margaret was found dead in her bedroom under suspicious circumstances. While official records list her cause of death as natural, rumors quickly spread that she had been murdered by a jealous lover or driven to madness by the ghosts she claimed surrounded her. To this day, visitors to the Crosby house report eerie sensations, cold spots lingering in certain rooms, the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls, and the occasional glimpse of a shadowy figure disappearing around corners. One of the most frequently reported paranormal experiences involves the house's grand staircase. Witnesses claim to have seen the faint outline of a woman in a flowing Victorian gown descending the steps, only to vanish before reaching the bottom. Some believe this apparition is Margaret herself, forever trapped in the home she once cherished. Others speculate that she was not alone in death, and that the spirits of those who lived and died within the house continue to haunt its halls, their presence intertwined with the sorrow and mystery of Margaret's final days. Despite efforts to restore the Crosby house and transform it into a museum or event venue, many workers and visitors have refused to spend time inside after dark, citing an overwhelming sense of unease. Whether these occurrences are the result of historical trauma imprinted on the property, or the lingering presence of Margaret's restless spirit remains a topic of debate. What is certain, however, is that the Margaret Reed Crosby house continues to captivate those who seek out the supernatural, its ghostly echoes whispering through the dust-laden corridors of time. Investigating Arkansas's most terrifying locations. Determined to uncover the truth behind Arkansas's most haunted places, several paranormal investigation teams have ventured into the state's most notorious locations, armed with state-of-the-art equipment and an unwavering resolve to document whatever might be lurking in the shadows. Among the most notable expeditions was that of the Heartland Paranormal Research Society, a group of dedicated investigators who spent 3 consecutive nights at the Myrtles Plantation, setting up cameras, EMF detectors, infrared sensors, and audio recorders in key locations. Their findings, released in a detailed report, provided compelling evidence that reignited interest in the plantation's haunting reputation. One of the most chilling discoveries made by HPRS was captured on a thermal imaging camera positioned near the upstairs hallway. At approximately 2:37 a.m., the footage showed a humanoid-shaped anomaly emerging from an empty room, moving slowly toward the center of the corridor before abruptly vanishing. What made this sighting particularly unsettling was that no visible figure appeared on the standard video feed. The entity was only detectable through thermal imaging, suggesting it either lacked a physical form or existed in a state beyond normal perception. The investigators, visibly shaken, attempted to communicate using a digital voice recorder, asking, "Who are you? Why are you here?" Moments later, one of their handheld EMF meters spiked into the red zone, registering an unusually high reading. Simultaneously, the audio recorder picked up a distorted whisper stating, "They took me. I can't leave." In addition to visual and auditory anomalies, the team documented multiple instances of unexplained cold spots throughout the plantation. Using thermometers and thermal cameras, they recorded drastic temperature drops in specific areas, sometimes plummeting by as much as 20 degrees within seconds. These cold zones were concentrated near the staircase and the former nursery, where local legends speak of children vanishing without a trace. Some speculate that these areas serve as portals for residual energy, carrying forward the emotions of those who once walked the halls. Another harrowing encounter was experienced by a solo investigator who set up camp near the remnants of the old Alcorn State Hospital, the sprawling psychiatric facility now reduced to little more than crumbling brick and rusted metal beams. He described waking in the middle of the night to the sound of rhythmic tapping against the wooden frame of his tent. Upon stepping outside with a flashlight, he found no sign of the noise's origin, only a faint trail of footprints leading into the dense underbrush. Assuming it was an animal, he returned to his tent, only to hear a soft voice whispering his name from just beyond the fabric walls. Petrified, he remained frozen in place until dawn, when he hastily packed his gear and left the area, vowing never to return. Despite the skepticism surrounding paranormal investigations, the sheer volume of consistent reports and recorded anomalies makes it difficult to dismiss the idea that something unnatural lingers within Arkansas's most haunted locations. Whether these experiences stem from residual energies, interdimensional phenomena, or something far more sinister remains uncertain. But for those who have witnessed the inexplicable firsthand, the question is no longer whether these places are haunted, it's what exactly is waiting in the darkness, watching and waiting. The psychological impact of haunted places, fear, trauma, and the mind's response to psychological effects of visiting Arkansas's most haunted locations extend far beyond the immediate sensations of fear and unease. For many who have explored these eerie places, the experience leaves lasting impressions that manifest in anxiety, sleep disturbances, and even paranoia long after they've left the premises. Psychologists and paranormal researchers alike have studied the impact of such environments on the human mind, seeking to understand why certain locations evoke such profound emotional responses. Some attribute these reactions to the power of suggestion. If a person enters a place expecting to encounter something supernatural, their brain becomes hyper-aware of every creak, whisper, or flicker of movement, interpreting them as signs of an unseen presence. Others propose that the location's eerie atmosphere triggers primal instincts, activating the fight-or-flight response as the subconscious perceives an unknown threat lurking in the shadows. However, for those who have had direct encounters with the unexplainable, the effects can be far more severe. Reports from individuals who have spent extended periods in these haunted spaces describe symptoms akin to post-traumatic stress disorder, including flashbacks, intrusive thoughts, and an overwhelming sense of dread upon returning to the site. Some claim they have developed insomnia, plagued by nightmares that mirror their experiences, visions of shadowy figures watching from the darkness, disembodied voices calling out their names, and the sensation of an unseen force pulling them deeper into the unknown. Others have spoken of an inexplicable compulsion to return, as if drawn by something beyond their control, despite knowing the risks involved. One particularly unsettling case involved a group of college students who visited the Myrtles plantation for a late-night challenge. They claimed to have heard a child's laughter echoing through the halls, only to turn and find no one nearby. Days later, one of the students began experiencing hallucinations. He reported seeing a small figure darting through his peripheral vision, vanishing the moment he turned to look. His mental health deteriorated rapidly, leading to hospitalization and months of therapy. While doctors attributed his condition to heightened stress and sensory deprivation, he remained convinced that something had followed him home, lingering just beyond the reach of sight. These psychological effects raise important questions about the nature of fear and the way the human mind processes the unknown. Whether the hauntings are purely psychological or influenced by something beyond scientific understanding, one thing remains certain: those who enter these haunted places often leave changed, carrying the weight of their experiences long after they've stepped back into the light. The cultural significance of Arkansas's haunted places, folklore, media, and urban legend beyond their reputations as hotspots for paranormal activity, Arkansas's most haunted locations have taken on a life of their own. Within local folklore, media coverage, and urban legend. Over the years, these places have become symbols of fear and mystery, inspiring countless horror stories, documentaries, and even fictionalized accounts in literature and film. Their presence in pop culture has only fueled the intrigue surrounding them, drawing both skeptics and believers who hope to uncover the truth behind the myths. Local news outlets have covered these haunted sites extensively, often highlighting unsolved disappearances, strange occurrences, and eyewitness testimonies that add to their enigmatic allure. In the 1990s, a regional television station aired a documentary titled Shadows Across the South, which featured interviews with former residents, paranormal investigators, and even law enforcement officers who had responded to calls regarding suspicious activity near the Myrtles plantation. The documentary included grainy footage allegedly showing shadowy figures moving between the trees, as well as audio recordings of eerie whispers that sent chills down the spines of viewers. Though skeptics dismissed the content as poorly edited hoaxes, the documentary sparked renewed interest in the location, prompting a surge of nighttime visits from thrill-seekers eager to test the legends for themselves. Literature has also played a significant role in cementing these haunted places' status as cultural phenomena. Several horror novels have drawn inspiration from their eerie reputations, weaving fictional narratives around real-life events and reported hauntings. One particularly popular book, Echoes of Sorrow, blends documented paranormal investigations with creative storytelling, portraying the old Alcorn State Hospital as a gateway to another realm where lost souls are trapped in an endless cycle of torment. The novel's success led to a limited-run podcast series that reenacted the events described in the book, blending real interview clips with dramatized retellings that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. The internet has further amplified the mystique of these haunted locations, with forums, YouTube videos, and social media pages dedicated to sharing personal experiences and investigating their haunted reputations. Urban explorers frequently upload footage of their nighttime excursions, capturing everything from strange lights flickering in the distance to unexplained sounds that defy logical explanation. Some of these videos have gone viral, attracting millions of views and sparking debates about whether these places truly harbor something supernatural, or if the collective belief in their haunting has created a self-perpetuating cycle of fear. Despite the commercialization of their legends, these haunted locations remain deeply unsettling places for those who visit. Whether it is the power of suggestion, the influence of local folklore, or something far more inexplicable, one thing is certain: Arkansas's most haunted places continue to capture the imagination of those who dare to explore their shadowy depths. For those who have experienced the horrors of Arkansas's most haunted locations firsthand, the memories remain vivid, unsettling, and impossible to forget. Countless individuals have come forward over the years, recounting their encounters with the unknown, some hesitant to speak, fearing ridicule, while others share their stories in hopes of finding validation or understanding. These personal accounts paint a chilling picture of places where reality bends, time distorts, and the veil between the living and the dead feels perilously thin. One such account comes from Sarah Mitchell, a nurse who visited the Myrtles plantation with a group of friends in the summer of 2018. She described how the evening started innocently enough, with laughter and casual conversation as they wandered through the grand lobby. However, as they ventured deeper into the house, the atmosphere shifted dramatically. It felt like the air got heavier, she recalled. We couldn't explain it, but we all stopped talking at the same time, like we were afraid to make a sound. As they reached the second-floor landing, Sarah noticed something odd. Her phone, which had been fully charged, suddenly died, along with her friend's flashlight. That's when we saw it, she whispered. A figure standing at the end of the hallway. It wasn't moving, just staring at us. The group stood frozen, paralyzed by fear, as they tried to determine whether the figure was real or merely a trick of the dim lighting. It looked human, but wrong, Sarah explained. Its arms were too long, and its head was tilted at an unnatural angle. Before anyone could react, the figure vanished into the shadows as quickly as it had appeared. Shaken, the group hurried back toward the main entrance, only to realize they had somehow ended up in a completely different part of the house, one they hadn't passed through on their way in. We didn't know how we got there, she admitted. It was like the house itself moved around us. Another harrowing experience was shared by Mark Alvarez, a security guard who worked the overnight shift patrolling the perimeter of the old Alcorn State Hospital in the early 2000s. He described his usual routine as uneventful, filled with the usual sounds of the night, until one particularly quiet evening when he heard a child laughing in the distance. At first, I thought maybe some kid snuck in after hours, he said. But the laugh kept going, getting louder and louder, like it was right behind me. He turned around, expecting to see a teenager hiding behind a tree, but instead found himself staring into complete darkness. There was no one there, he said, his voice trembling. And then the laughing stopped. From that point on, Mark claimed the area became increasingly unnerving. He reported seeing shadowy figures moving just beyond the edges of his flashlight beam, only to disappear when he tried to approach. On one occasion, he swore he saw a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothing standing near the entrance gate, watching him silently. When he blinked, she was gone. Eventually, the constant sense of being watched and the creeping dread that settled over him every night forced him to quit his job. I don't care what people say, he insisted. Something isn't right in that place. These stories, while differing in details, share a common thread. Each individual entered Arkansas's haunted locations expecting a simple outing or routine work assignment, only to leave shaken by something they could neither explain nor escape. Whether these experiences stem from psychological suggestion, environmental anomalies, or something far more sinister, the impact on those who live them remains undeniable. For those who have faced the unknown within Arkansas's most haunted places, the memory lingers, a haunting reminder that some places are best left undisturbed. The enduring mystery of Arkansas's most haunted places. As we bring this chilling journey to a close, one thing remains abundantly clear. Arkansas's most haunted places are more than just relics of the past. They are living testaments to history's darkest chapters, infused with the lingering echoes of those who once called them home. From the sorrowful apparition of Margaret Reed Crosby still wandering the halls of her Victorian mansion to the phantom children who seemed to play in the shadows of the Myrtles plantation, these locations continue to defy explanation, drawing in those who seek answers and leaving them with more questions than they arrived with. Whether you believe in the supernatural or prefer to attribute these experiences to psychological suggestion, environmental factors, or even urban myth, the sheer number of consistent reports from credible witnesses makes it difficult to dismiss the haunted reputations of these places outright. The personal accounts of those who have faced the unknown within their walls are too numerous, and too similar to be ignored. Something lingers in the shadows of Arkansas's most haunted places, whether it be the restless spirits of the past, residual imprints of trauma, or something far beyond our understanding remains a mystery. If you've enjoyed this exploration of one of the most terrifying states in the US, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another spine-chilling story. Whether you're a believer in the paranormal or simply fascinated by the power of fear and folklore, there's always more to uncover in the world of the unknown. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, sometimes the scariest places are the ones that exist just beyond the reach of the light.